So today I will be ranking every single movie I saw in 2021 into tier list. I've got best, great, good, average, and below average. Now I don't think this was personally a terrible year of film at all. I actually struggled to narrow down a top 10 list because there was so many that I really enjoyed this year, and I thought it was a fantastic year for movies, especially with everything that's going on in the world. It's so good that we have these type of films that can bring us together. We can have discussions. We don't have to like the same movies. As you will see, I'm sure some of your favorites will be in the lower categories for me, but some of my favorites may be in the lower categories for you, and that's completely fine because it's all opinions, it's all fun, it's all awesome to have a discussion and just be cool film fans amongst each other. So, I'm going to start ranking them, so let me know in the comments below what you guys think of mine, and where do you rank some of your movies, top 10, top 5, just let me know. I want to have a discussion as well. So let's get straight into it, and we're going to start off with After We Fell. If you guys have seen my top 10 worst, this was one of the worst films I watched this year. It's very much the same as the previous two, and if you guys have been following the After series, they're based on books, and I don't know, there's just something about these movies that there's just nothing there to really grab on. You've got very unlikable characters that make the same mistakes over and over and over and over again, and you're kind of like, can we just get some progression going on with these characters? Because there's just nothing happening with these characters. It's just a cycle, it's just a circle, rinse and repeat. Then movie 2 comes, it's the same thing, and then movie 3 comes, same thing, and then you get a twist that's unearned. And it did not work for me at all. So for me, it goes in the below average category. Ammonite. I really enjoyed this film. I'm putting this in the good one. I really enjoyed it. The tale of the two women who meet each other, and they start to form a bond, and they start to love each other. I thought it was really, really done well. The execution of the whole love story between the two women was really well done. Like, I was completely invested in them as characters and their relationship as they were building on. I really enjoyed the performances as well. They were freaking world class. They were so good. The location, cinematography was fantastic. I really enjoyed this film quite a lot. It goes in the good category for me. It's really good. I would recommend it for anyone. Antlers. I'm going to put this one in the average one because I know what they were trying to do with Antlers, and I really appreciate what they were trying to do. I thought it was done really well in the final acts. I think the build up though just felt very slow. It wasn't really paced well enough to when we got to the final bit and we got the Wendigo and we saw all that stuff. Then it started to pick up and it started really looking like, oh my god, this is a really good horror film. I just think the first bit lacks, and I kind of got bored. I started to check the time to see what time it was and how long to go. I liked the design of the monster as well, the Wendigo. I really liked all the final act. I just didn't like the first act. I thought the performances were great as well. The kid was outstanding. So for me, Antlers just goes in the average category right now. A Quiet Place 2, I'm going to put in the great tier. This one just came out of my top 10. It just missed out. I love the sequel. I love the first one. I love the sequel one as well. The way that Krasinski was able to capture the monster and give us a bit more action while also holding on to what made the first one so beautiful and so unique and different. He's done it again here. He has got more dialogue in this one, but he still had those moments of suspense with no dialogue, which I thought was incredible again. We got some more origin about him. It's really good. I just love A Quiet Place 2. So that for me goes in the great category. Army of the Dead. I'm putting in the good as well. I really enjoyed the Army of the Dead. I thought it was a fun, unique take on the zombie genre. To have a heist in the middle of Vegas while a zombie apocalypse is happening was really cool and unique, and I enjoyed that, what Zach gave us. I thought the way he shot it, the practical effects were incredible, the cast was great, and I liked the uniqueness of the zombies that he did in this movie, where they have the alpha and all that stuff. I thought that was done really well. So for me, Army of the Dead is good. It's in the good tier. I'm pleasantly surprised. Zack Snyder delivered on this one. He really did. Ascendant You guys have seen probably my top 10. This was the second worst film to me. Um, I just think it was a bad day at the office. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with this film. It just felt like it was all over the place. There was no cohesion whatsoever. There was plot lines and storylines that were going on that just didn't make sense and didn't add up. And when you sit down and think about the movie, you're kind of like, well, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? Why didn't this? Where is she? What's this? What is the motive of the villains? Why are they doing what they're doing? What is with the dad? What is with this? And there's just so much that you start to question. You come out of that movie with a lot more answers than you do with questions going into it. So for me, it just did not hit the mark for me at all. And for me, it's in a below average. Batman Soul of the Dragon, I'm going to put in the average tier as well. This one didn't really feel like a Batman movie at all to me. It was more of a martial arts sort of movie. It's not Batman focused. It's focused on another character. That it just feels like you could take Batman out of this movie and it would work completely fine. But you throw in Batman just because you want to have Batman in there. That's what it felt like. It felt like Batman was shoehorned in. He didn't need to be there, and he spends most of his time as Bruce Wayne anyway. So, for me, it comes in at the average. I did like the animation style, though, and yeah, it's an average film to me. So, I'm going to put it there. Black Widow, I'm going to put in the average one as well. This is a movie that I think should have been made way, way back. This should have been made, what's it called? Civil War? After Civil War? Before Infinity War? That's when this movie should have been made and came out. It should have came out then. But having it now, it kind of no stakes because we know Natasha survives because she's in Infinity War. Yelena was great. The whole family dynamic was great. I just think like this was too late, and it's an okay MCU film. It's not like top tier or anything like that. It's average for me. Boss Level. Great. I really loved Boss Level. This one was a big pleasant surprise for me. Frank Grillo is incredible in this. I love the uniqueness and the take on the recurring dream game scenario sort of thing where you're in this, you die, and then you rinse and repeat like a game and you start again. Die, rinse and repeat again. I really like that. It's funny. It's awesome. The action is great. Frank Grillo really shows off his comedic chops in this movie. I just had an absolute ball with it, and they even throughout this whole movie threw in a lot of heart that I was not expecting between Frank Grillo's character and his son. That was incredible. I did not expect to get that much heart in this movie, but it was really, really good, and Boss Level for me goes in the great tier. Candyman. I'm going to put Candyman in the average one. This one was a bit of a, I don't know, it's kind of like meh to me. No, I didn't feel like for a horror movie, I didn't get any of the horror elements in this movie at all. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. I wasn't, sitting there anxious or anything like that. I was kind of just going through the motions, going through. I thought it was a bit boring at times, and I was kind of like, okay, I guess that makes sense, I guess. And I think one of my biggest problems with it is most of the kills were off screen. We didn't really get to see it, so that sort of took away from it as well. I know there's some people that love Candyman, and I am grateful that you guys have a movie that you guys love as well. So, but for me, it didn't work as a horror movie. So for me, it's just in the average. Chaos Walking, I'm putting the average one as well. I like the cast. I like Tom Holland. I like Daisy Ridley. It's a unique concept that I think wasn't executed properly. I think you could have executed this a lot better. I like the concept of the males having their thoughts out there and then a female drops in. I like the twist as well in this movie. I did like that twist and it made sense. The location is beautiful. The cinematography is great. The music's great. I just felt like the story had plot holes in it, and a lot of them, and there was just things, especially when you rewatch it again, you start picking up certain things. You're kind of like, okay, now I can see where the problems lie. So for me, Chaos Walking goes in the average tier as well. Cherry, I'm going to put in below average. It struggled to know what it was. The Russo brothers had 3 different type of movies crammed into one, and it really dragged on. There's a lot of pacing issues. The character of Tom Holland himself goes through 3 different types of transitions, and I felt like they didn't really connect well enough for me to care about the transition throughout. I think the best part was the middle part when he was in the military. That I really enjoyed. But then the other two were kind of just like, okay. And it just felt like after each one, you're like, okay, so the movie's done then, I guess. And no, it continues on. But yeah, I put it in the below average for me. It didn't work again for me. Come True. I'm going to put this one... You know, I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to put it in good because I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed most of it until the ending. I didn't like the ending personally. I thought the ending was a bit like, we're really going to do that? Like a dream inside of a dream sort of thing. But I was hooked throughout the whole first 2 acts. I was on board, and I was trying to figure it out, and I was enjoying it. And then we get to the 3rd act, and I'm like, okay, now we're getting into the real horror aspects. And then the ending happened, and it kind of like undid all that bit for me. And you kind of sit there and you're like, if they had a better ending, this could have been in the great tier. And also, I'm going to say, some people aren't going to like the look of this film because it is very... It's like what Zack Snyder does with his movies when it comes to like superheroes and stuff. He uses that color grading of like the grays and stuff like that. This one has, like you've seen in the poster, that's what it's got, a very like bluish grayish tinge to it as well. It's very murky looking. So, but overall I enjoyed it. So I'm going to put it in the good tier as well. Coming to America, I'm going to put it in average. It's funny, Eddie Murphy. It's not as good, nowhere near as good as the first one. It is what it is. That's all I can say about it. It's pretty forgettable. It's a forgettable film. Yeah. I still like the costume designs as well, but it's one of those movies. Cosmic Sin, you would know if you've seen my worst movies. This is the worst movie I've seen all year. It's a sci-fi movie that I was super excited for. Bruce Willis, Frank Grillo, and you made an hour and a half movie feel like a 3.5 hour snooze fest, unfortunately. The villains have no motives. They just give up. There's so many things wrong with this movie. So, I'm pretty sure most people have Cosmic Sin in their top 10 worst that they've seen this year, if they have seen it, because it's one of those movies. So I'm just going to put it in below average there. Crisis, I'm going to put in the good. I enjoyed this movie. I know I liked the take on the whole drug aspect of what was happening with, I can't remember what drug it was that was happening, and you had these 3 different characters all going throughout their own personal journeys of things that are happening in their life related to this drug incident, and then it all converges into one. You could say it's coincidence that they all convert into one, and I get that. But I really did enjoy this movie and enjoyed the message they were trying to tell through this stuff that actually happened as well. It was great performances. Obviously, you got Gary Oldman, who's absolutely one of the GOATs. He was really good in it, and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. It could have been a lot better, I will say that, but overall, I enjoyed Crisis. Cruella, I'm putting the good tier as well. I enjoyed this. This may be my favorite Disney live action of the animated ones. I really enjoyed it. Emma Stone was incredible as Cruella. She really carried it, and it was just a fun, entertaining time watching her portray Cruella as this. There are things, the CGI dogs don't look that good. I would say that, they don't look that good. Everything else is really good and entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. I love the dynamic between the 3 of them. I thought that was fun. The whole how her mother died and stuff like that, I could see why some people would question that, but overall, I enjoyed Cruella, so that goes into the good tier for me. Demon Slayer Mugen Train, my favorite movie of the year. It had everything from emotion, from character arcs that I really was invested, to bringing in my favorite character of Demon Slayer that I didn't even know anything about Demon Slayer until I saw the trailer for this movie, and then I went and watched the series, and then when I watched this and Rengoku was introduced, he instantly became my favorite character after this. This had made me cry like a little bitch. I have not cried that hard in a movie in a theater. Like, this was like genuine sad. Like, I was like, bro. And it left this impact on me wanting more. And I've watched this movie like so many times. Like, this was like when Dragon Ball Super Broly came out. I watched that movie like 25 times or something like that in the space of like 3 months. This is the same thing. I really enjoyed it. For me, my favorite movie, Demon Slayer. Don't Breathe 2. It's a below average movie. The whole first part is really good and entertaining, and then the whole second half of this movie just falls apart completely. I really enjoyed the whole house invading the house and him trying to, deal with all that stuff. That was really, really good. But there's a lot of decisions in this movie made by characters that you're kind of like, really? We're going down there? And you make a villain a good guy, and it's all over the place, especially in that final bit. And yeah, they just dropped the ball big time with Don't Breathe 2. So for me, it goes in the below average one. Dune, a second favorite film of the year. Loved it. Sci-fi classic. Brilliant. Denis Villeneuve does an absolute masterpiece here, from the score by Hans Zimmer. Oh, so good. The cinematography. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. The acting and the performances, the characters, the story. So freaking good. The costume designs. I loved everything about Dune. I'm so excited for part 2. Cannot wait. Loved it. Escape Room 2. Below average for me. It really was. I don't know why they made a second one, and the ending hints to a third one coming. There's just some certain games and escape rooms that happen that I'm kind of like questioning. Like, there's so many ways that they could have figured to get out and really get out of unscathed, but then they just don't, and they just listen to the one character, and they all just kind of like go along like she knows everything about it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun time. I was just bored, and I was just questioning things all the time. So unfortunately for me, Escape Room Tournament of the Champions goes in below average. Eternals. Great. I love Eternals. This was my favorite MCU film after watching it. Was my favorite. It's unique and it's different from all the other MCU films. And that's what I love about it. I was sitting there watching, and from the first minute when I saw the text come on screen and they talk about the Celestials and the start of the universe, I was just like, okay, we are building lore and world building beyond Earth, finally. And I knew I was in for a ride straight away. The Irisham looks insanely great. The characters were great. And there is no true villain. They all have their own motives, which all make sense to their characters. And you can't sit here and say Icarus was in the wrong when he's technically not, because he's just doing what he's supposed to do by serving the Celestials and serving the greater good and the greater universe by helping the Celestials be born so they can bring more life in. So he's technically not a villain. Neither are the Eternals, who stop that, because they are looking out for the humans and Earth because they're attached to them. So like Obi-Wan Kenobi says, from a certain point of view, to me, the Deviants aren't villains either. They're just caught up in this whole mess because the Celestials created them to help them. And then obviously they just start naturally evolving and things just get out of hand. That's why the Eternals come in to exterminate them. And that's what I like about this movie. There's no true villain, and I enjoyed it so much. The character dynamics, everything. So for me, Eternals is great, and I'm putting it in the great tier. Every Breath You Take, it was good. Casey Affleck back to his best as well. Really enjoyed his performance. I just really liked this movie. I went and saw it with my wife, and she enjoyed it as well. I thought they did a great twist in this movie that I could see why some would say, I caught it as well, so you could say it's predictable, but I still think it was executed correctly, and it was just a fun, well, it wasn't a fun ride because there's a lot of things that happen here that are quite dark, but I enjoyed Every Breath You Take. So for me, it's a good film, so I'm going to put in the good one. Fast 9, below average. This is just too far now. This is beyond Jump the Shark. when you drive cars into space with duct tape on them, I mean, there are things that I can sit there and suspend my belief. Like, I can sit there and suspend my belief of them driving safes behind a car. I can sit there and go, you know what? I'm just going to sit back. Okay, I'm going to let that go. But then, when you have a movie that is constantly jumping the shark over and over and over and over again, and it's not a Sharknado movie or anything like that, and it's taking itself quite seriously still, you've lost me. And that's what Fast and Furious 9 is, unfortunately. So I think it's time for the franchise to just come to an end, because it's just getting beyond now. Like, what's next? Are they going to go fight aliens on Mars? It's just, yeah, it's one of those ones. Fatherhood. Great. I really enjoyed Fatherhood. Kevin Hart was outstanding in this. I loved the whole dynamic between him and his wife's mother, because if you guys haven't seen the movie, the whole premise of this movie is the wife dies and he's now got to look after the baby, and the mother, his mother-in-law, is questioning him constantly, and it's so good to see his character grow into the fatherhood stage and really become the father, and I just loved it. And there is one scene where you just cry because it's so powerful, and I loved this film so much. It was really good, and as a father of myself, it just hit me on another level. So for me, Fatherhood goes in great. Free Guy, great. Ryan Reynolds is just Ryan Reynolds at his best. I loved Free Guy. I thought it was fun, entertaining. The Easter eggs were incredible, especially in that final battle. I marked hardcore in the theater in that final battle when certain Easter eggs were coming up. I lost it. It was so fun, entertaining. The performances were great. I love the ending as well with the whole twist. It's just really good. And then you got Taika Waititi in there as well, and he was outstanding. I loved it. Fun, entertaining time. Free Guy, great. Ghostbusters Afterlife, loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. This is how you pay a tribute to the classic and originals without tearing those characters down and without trying to put the new characters completely over that overshadows what the original people did. This is the way to do it, and it was emotional. It was great. As a Ghostbusters fan, I loved it. Loved the new cast. Loved the story. Yes, they took elements from the first Ghostbusters and added them into this movie and centered it around a very similar plot, but it worked, and it was so freaking good to see all that stuff. It's just great. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, I'm sure you guys loved Afterlife as well, and Jason Reitman just nailed it out of the park. He was the perfect person to come in and do it again, and just, so good. Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm putting the great tier. Now, with Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm going to tell you guys right now, story-wise, it's okay. It's nothing out of the, masterpiece winning Oscar story level. Characters, it's not on that level of a Joker character or anything like that. Like, human stuff can be a bit boring at times, and you're kind of like, why are they on screen? But when I go into a Godzilla vs. Kong movie, what am I expecting? Them two to fight, to be entertained, and to get cool action sequences. I didn't get that in King of the Monsters. I did not get that at all. I think there's 15 minutes in that whole 2-hour movie of Godzilla fighting him that you actually see. They rectified that, and they gave me what I wanted. I loved the fight sequences. I loved following Kong. I loved when Godzilla was fighting him, and then that final battle was incredible. And they managed to give Godzilla some character as well. It was everything I was expecting and more. That's why I've got it in the great tier, because I was thoroughly entertained, so it goes in there. Gunpowder Milkshake, I'm going to put in great. I really enjoyed this movie. I know some people don't like this movie, but I do. Karen Gillan, I love her. She is incredible, and she was so good in this movie. In the action scenes, I loved it. I thought it was great. And what they did really well is they didn't just make her a Mary Sue and she just beat anyone. When she got into a physical confrontation with a guy that was twice her size, she could not beat him physically, pound for pound. So she had to use her skills and use her maneuvers to try and win that way rather than try to just outmuscle him. I love that. I loved the story. I loved the cast. I really enjoyed this movie. This was a fun time at the theater. I'm gonna tell you that, guys. Now, I know some of you don't like it, and that's fine. But for me, I really enjoyed this movie, so it goes there. Halloween Kills is an interesting one. For now, I'm gonna put it in the average tier, and this is why I put it in the average tier. It's because I feel like once I see the third movie that comes out next year, this may move up. It feels incomplete, and it feels like it's as a movie by itself, it doesn't work. It's sort of like Empire Strikes Back. Like by itself, it doesn't really work. But what makes it so much better is Return of the Jedi. The ending of that and the first New Hope makes Empire Strikes Back so much better. And I feel like Halloween Kills could have that impact on me, where I see the final one and then look back as that trilogy and go, yeah, Halloween Kills is now a lot better. I get what they were trying to do with the whole mob mentality. I just don't think they executed. I think there were some editing choices that could have been a lot better, where they shift certain scenes around and done a little trickery here and there to make us believe certain things were happening. But when you show a certain character somewhere else and then you show this going on, it kind of takes away, because you know he's over there, so it can't be him. So it sort of takes away that. That's what I mean, where you can do some editing, moving some scenes around, and really gives that impact. But then again, once I see the third one, this one could move up. So I'm just going to put an average for now. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Good. It is what it is. It knows what it is. It's just fun. I really enjoy watching Samuel L. Jackson, Ryan Reynolds, and Salma Hayek just interact with each other. And that's all this movie is. It's all about them just interacting with each other. That's where the movie is at its strongest, is them having the banter. That's what this movie is. It's just a fun comedy that you're not supposed to take too seriously. And that's why I love it. It's just one of those ones where you can sit down and just laugh the whole entire time. So for me, it goes in the good tier. In the Heights, I'm not a musical guy. Granted, I am not a musical guy. I really don't like musicals. In the Heights, though, I've really enjoyed this movie a lot. It even got me into a bit of a song and dance during the movie. I was kind of getting into it as well. So that is a huge credit to the movie, because I don't normally do that with these sort of films. But I enjoyed this film a lot. I liked the characters a lot. I was invested in their story. The musical numbers and the songs were fun, entertaining. I mean, I remember coming back from the movie and just singing that song where they're at the pool and they're talking about the lottery ticket and they're singing that song. I just really enjoyed it. The dance choreography was great. I loved it. The performances again were incredible, and that one was very surprising. I didn't actually think I'd like it, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. So for me, In the Heights was great. Jolt, I'm gonna put Jolt in the average one as well. I liked the first half of the movie. I thought that was really good, exploring her relationship with this sort of superpower sort of thing, where she gets really aggressive all of a sudden. I really enjoyed that aspect, but then when it turned into like the superhero sort of thing, where she just rolls through people and stuff like that, kind of lost me. I just felt like it wasn't as impactful as the first bit. I thought they were onto something, but then it just turned into this generic action film. And I tell you what, this is me saying as a huge Kate Beckinsale fan. Like, I've had a celebrity crush on her since I was like 15, 16. I've loved, since I saw her in Underworld, I love Kate Beckinsale so much. And yeah, it's a shame, because yeah, I wanted to see her movie succeed, and I just felt like Jolt was just, yeah, it just didn't do it for me, unfortunately, that whole second half. Jungle Cruise, I'm gonna put in good. This is why I put it in good, because I love Dwayne Johnson, and I thought he was funny as crap in this movie. He was so good. I thought also, what's his name? What's the English guy's name? It's right there on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember his name. Jack Whitehall. Love him in this movie as well. He was comedic relief, brilliantly done, executed well. Loved his interaction with Dwayne Johnson. Emily Blunt, I love Emily Blunt. Love her. Think she is an absolute world class. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time. Love her, and I will watch anything that she's in. I love the interactions, and for me, their performances is what makes it good for me. The story is generic. Don't really care for the story, but it's the performances and the interactions that win this over for me. So for me, goes in the good tier. King Richard, loved King Richard. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Will Smith is probably going to win an Oscar for this. I would be shocked if he doesn't get a nomination because he is superb in this movie. Superb. World class. The story is great. It's really good. I would highly recommend checking King Richard out. It is really good. It's all about Venus and Serena and their come up. Fantastic. Check it out. Trust me. Check it out. Last night in Soho. Loved it. I loved it. Edgar Wright nailed this. Nailed it. From the editing, from the music, from the look, the cinematography, the performances, just the story, characters, twist after twist. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Fan-freaking-tastic. For me, one of the best films of the year. Licorice Pizza, below average. I know there's a lot of people who love this film from Paul Thomas Anderson. Loved it. And that's great. I'm so happy that you guys love it. I envy you guys. I just think Paul Thomas Anderson had a bad day at the office with this one. This one just did not work for me at all. Yeah, it just didn't work. I just think there was some choices that could have been executed a lot better. Yeah, it's just... I got a full review on that if you guys want to see it. But, yeah, it's just... It did not work for me. So, yeah, I envy everyone that it did work for. So, unfortunately for me, it's below average. Lockdown. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed Lockdown. I thought Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor were incredible. Their chemistry was great. And that's what won it over for me. It wasn't necessarily the heist or the story. Again, it's the chemistry, the acting, and the characters that won this over for me. I loved watching them to interact. They were just brilliant, fun, and entertaining. And for me, Lockdown comes in the good category. Malignant. James Wan. Delivered again. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. I love this movie. He got me twice. He got me twice in this movie. Twice. It was freaking incredible. That whole first stuff at the start, James, whew, that was some scary stuff. That was some real scary stuff. The music's great. Just cinematography's great. Characters are great. Just, I love Malignant. I really love it. And yeah, James Wan. What more can I say? The guy is just horror goat. Horror goat, James Wan. Okay. Many Saints of Newark. For me, it's in the average tier. I say this because I haven't watched The Sopranos, so I don't have anything like that. So, if there's any Soprano fans who really enjoy this film and have it up in the top, I completely understand why you guys would. I just feel like I don't have the full context because I haven't watched the show to this. And I feel like the ending of this movie just was underwhelming. Like, I like Nicky as a character and I really was invested in him. And I get what they were trying to do with this movie, but I just think they were building up to something huge, and then the underwhelming ending just kind of made me feel like, well, why did I watch that? But I would be interested to know if there's any Soprano fans. I want to hear your guys' voice and opinion on this movie, because you guys have seen the series, so I want to know and understand a bit more and give me some more context to this movie and why you guys may love it. Or if you're a Sopranos fan who hates this movie, I want to know that too. So for me, it just sits in the average. But then again, take that with a grain of salt because I haven't seen the TV show The Sopranos yet. The Marksman. I'll put in the good one. Liam Neeson. I love Liam Neeson. Like, I could sit down and watch Liam Neeson films all day. I love them. For me, this one, it has a cool story. It's got good dynamic between the characters and a great acting. It's just one of those Liam Neeson films that I just enjoy. So for me, I just put it in the good tier because I don't have anything like overly like extraordinary to say about it, but don't have anything bad to say about it. It's good. I enjoyed it. I had fun. So yeah. Monster Hunter, I'm gonna put down below average. I loved the trailers. I was excited for this. I love the design of the monsters, the weapons. Just fell flat. Just fell flat. It was just missing that. I want to see more. It's just kind of like, okay, do I want to see a sequel? Maybe. It's just one of those movies. I'm just going to put it, yeah, below average. Mortal Kombat. Good. Story-wise, bit iffy in that. But when I go to see a Mortal Kombat movie, I don't go to see the story. I go to see the action and the fatalities. And what did I get in this movie? Action and fatalities. Loved it. Kano, funny as crap. Oh my god. He was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And obviously he's got the Australian accent. So it's just even funnier. Just even funnier. I liked it. And Scorpion was cool. Sub-Zero was cool. The new character they brought in. Yeah, he is what he is. But, hey. It's a Mortal Kombat film. I don't expect to see, like, this Dune level story. I go in to see it just for the action and stuff like that. And that's what I got. I was entertained. So, yeah. I'll put in there. Music. Average. Yeah. I'm not going to say too much on it. It's pretty forgettable. I can't even remember half the movie. So, I'm just going to put in average. Because I can't remember much of it. So, yeah. Thunder Force. Oh, below average, boys. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think Melissa McCarthy should just not work with her husband again, because every time they do, they just make a really bad movie. So I just think this was unfunny. It was just kind of boring, dull, and I was just kind of sitting there like, what are we doing with this movie? What are we doing? And I think every time they work together, it just doesn't work. So I don't know why, but yeah, it's just below average for me as well. Army of Thieves. I'm gonna put in good. Now, this is the spin-off from the Army of the Dead that Zack Snyder did as well, where we focus on the locksmith. I like this movie. I do like this. I thought it was a fun dynamic between the group. Had no problems with it. I liked him. I thought he was charming, charismatic. So I was invested in him. It's just a good film. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near better than the Army of the Dead. I'd happily watch the Army of the Dead before I watch this one again. But I enjoyed it. It's a good film. Tick, Tick, Boom. I'm going to put this in great. Again, I'm not a big musical fan. But Tick, Tick, Boom is really freaking good. It's great. Andrew Garfield is spectacular in this film. Oh my god. He's going to get an Oscar nomination probably for this movie as well, because he is incredible. And the guy did the singing as well. I enjoyed this. I really did. I was invested. I was going with the musical numbers. Fun. Entertaining. Hats off again. Absolutely good. That's 2 musicals. I would never have thought I would have 2 musicals up in the great and best tiers. But I do. That's awesome. Red Notice. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm going to put in average. I like Dwayne Johnson. Love Ryan Reynolds. But I just didn't get into this movie. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. It just felt like you would think that I would love this movie. This is right up my alley. But I didn't. It didn't work for me on so many levels. And it's unfortunate because I wanted to like this. But the trailers, they were okay. And then I was watching the film and I was kind of like questioning whether to turn it off or not. But I pushed through to it and I was like, there are some laughs in it. There's some great moments, but I don't know. There's just something about this film that just didn't work for me. And I just kind of like have no interest in watching it again. So I'm just going to put in the average tier right now. Luca, the Pixar film. You know what? I'm going to put Luca in good. This was one that I didn't really was too interested in, but I enjoyed it actually. I really did. I thought the way that they handled the characters was quite unique and quite really fun and entertaining. I'm not going to lie. It looked good. It was fun, entertaining. classic Pixar film. So for me, Luca goes in the good tier. And then we got Raya the Last Dragon. I'm putting the good tier as well. I get what they were trying to do with this movie, and I like how they're going down that route for this movie. But I don't know, it just didn't have that same capture and feel of like the other Pixar films that have come out recently. It was missing that Pixar feel where you're kind of like, oh my god, this movie's incredible. It just didn't have that. So for me, it sits in the good tier. My Hero Academia World's Hero Mission goes in my best category. I love this film. All the big three, Deku, Shoto, and Bakugo, all got their moments in this movie. The villain's great. He has motive. I love how they brought back the Doomsday Quirk theory. I just really, really enjoyed this film a lot. I think it's the best one out of the My Hero movies. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So, for me, it's in the best category as well. Nobody. You know what? Great. I really enjoyed Nobody. I know we're getting a lot of movies like John Wick, but I think they nailed this one. I really do think they nailed it. I was just having a blast with this movie. This movie was so fun. The performances were great. The story is great. The action's great. The other characters they brought in were great. Loved it. Loved it. Can't say a bad thing about Nobody. No Time to Die. My first James Bond and only James Bond I have seen. I'm putting a good tier. For someone that hasn't seen a James Bond film, this movie was pretty sad, and I actually liked him and connected with him towards the end. Rami Malek was great as a villain, although they could have done a lot more depth with the villain. I really think they could have done a lot more with that. But for my first James Bond film, I really enjoyed it, so it makes me want to watch more, and I will be watching more over the next year. I will be starting to watch all the James Bond movies, so it's got me excited to see who the next James Bond is and really get invested in this franchise, so it's good. Occupation Rainfall, I'm going to put in good, and I'll tell you why. This is a very low budget film. The effects aren't the greatest, but it's fun and entertaining. I had a ball with this movie, and I cannot wait to the sequel. This is a fun alien invasion based in Australia. Just fun, entertaining. The dynamic between the alien and our lead in the movie, just fun. Just loved it. I loved it. It's a fun. You need these type of low budget, bad effects sort of movies that are just fun. And that's what this movie is, and for me, it goes in the good tier. Old. I tell you what, I'm putting great. I thought M. Night did a fantastic job with this one. I really enjoyed this one. It was freaky. It was unique and different. I love the concept of this. The characters and performances were great. Just, M. Night nailed this one. This was one of his better ones. Much better than some of the previous ones he's done. But for me, it goes in the great tier. Outside the Wire, I'm putting average because it's forgettable because I don't remember a thing from this one. I know Anthony Mackie's in it and he's a cyborg, but that's about it. So I'm just putting him in average because it's forgettable, because if it wasn't, I would know more. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to put it there. Paw Patrol the movie. This is actually going to surprise some people. Yeah. Don't worry, I know this too. A Paw Patrol movie in the great tier. This isn't like the other ones where they're just short stories. This is a full-length feature film. And it really focuses on Chase and Ryder's connection. And this movie has a lot of heart. Way more heart than I have seen in some of the movies this year. This movie made me cry because it's just got that much heart. It looked gorgeous as well. The animation's great. And I really enjoyed the story and the whole character arc Chase goes on. Like, I enjoyed this movie way more than I should have. And for me, Paw Patrol, the movie, is in the great tier. Like, it is a good movie. If you've got kids, watch it with your kids, because you'll probably walk away and go, you know what, that freaking Paw Patrol movie was really good. It is. It's really good. So I'm going to put it in the great tier. Penguin Bloom. Good. Based on a true story in Australia again. Enjoyed this. The performances were great. Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln, absolutely fantastic in this film. Oh, it's just, this is an emotional film as well. It's a powerful film because there's a certain thing that happens to her, and yeah, it's just, I really recommend checking this out because it's very powerful and it's really good. The performances are great, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. Promising Young Woman. Great. Loved this film. Absolutely loved this film. And you're probably wondering, why isn't it in last year's one? Because it came out in Australia this year, and I saw it this year. So for me, it goes in the great tier. Loved this movie a lot. Very powerful as well. Just incredible for performances as well. Just, I don't know. There's not much more you can say about it. It's really, really freaking good. Rainbow's End. I'm putting average because I have problems with this film where they don't show Bo at all throughout this whole entire film. They don't show you the interactions they have with Bo. That's all off screen and you're watching it from the other person's point of view, but you're not seeing what's actually happening. You're just hearing certain things. I get what they were trying to do with the whole relationship with the two women, and then bringing in and adopting a child that has had trouble throughout his life. I just feel like it would have been more powerful and better if we saw them interact with him and watch his character arc as well. But I don't think they did that. So for me, that were my problems with it. That's why I got it in the average tier. Red Dot, good. I think it's a Swedish film. It's on Netflix. I would highly recommend checking it out. The twist is really good in this movie. Oh my god. This whole movie, you are trying to guess what's happening and who's after him. And then when the twist comes, it's really, really great. And they executed that so well. I remember my jaw was on the ground. I was like, oh my god. I did not pick that up at all. I did not see that coming. And it's not a very happy ending. And you kind of sit there and you're like, well, yeah, I can see why now. Why does this movie end like that? So, for me, it goes in the good tier. Reminiscence, whatever you want to call it. The one with Hugh Jackman. I'm struggling where I'm going to put this one. You know what? No, I'm going to put in the average one. I like the concept. I like the idea. I like the performance from Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson. I like the characters. I just felt like the story had a lot of plot holes in it, and it just was missing something. It was missing that factor of like what Nolan has, where because this is very Nolan-esque because it's obviously Nolan's brother's wife that does this movie, so you can see the influence Nolan has on this film, and I love Nolan films, but it feels like they tried to do what Christopher Nolan does, but just didn't capture what he does with his twist, and as you're following the movie, working things out, and then you're kind of like, oh my god, now I get it. This one was missing that, so for me, I've got to put in the average tier. It's not bad, but it's not great. Shadow in the Cloud, average as well. It all takes place in this little plane, basically. Yeah, it's just like that. It's a great performance from Chloe, but I don't know. There's not much story to it. The twist is kind of like, okay, I get it, but yeah, I'm putting the average one. Shang-Chi. You know what? I'm gonna put Shang-Chi in the great. I enjoyed Shang-Chi. Best action and martial arts I've seen in a movie since The Raid. Really, really good. Fantastic. Best in the MCU by far. Loved the Shang-Chi character. This one felt a little bit different as well, and I liked the family dynamic. The villain was great. The visual effects. This is the closest thing I'll get to a live-action Dragon Ball movie, and that's probably why I like it so much, is because it's like that. So, yeah, I just enjoyed Shang-Chi. So, for me, it goes in the great tier. Snake Eyes. I'm going to put in good because I enjoyed it. It's not a great film, but it was entertaining to me. That's the best thing I can say about it. Not a good film, but entertaining. So I'm just going to put in the good tier because I had more fun with it than anything else. Space Jam. I'm putting average. I enjoyed this Space Jam more than the original. I liked what they were trying to do, but they could have executed it a lot better. I think the Easter eggs were pretty cool as well to see in there, but I think they could have done a lot better with this Space Jam, but I like it more than the original. I'm going to say that. Spider-Man No Way Home. A favorite MCU film. Eternals was. Then I saw Spider-Man No Way Home. Favorite MCU film. Loved it. Hit me every emotion possible. Loved this movie so much. Absolutely incredible. Could not believe that they could. I can tell you right now, I never would have told you. If you had asked me 5, 10, 20 years ago, you were going to watch a movie like Spider-Man No Way Home, I would have said to you, there's no chance. Here we are. And it's there. I loved it. Love that movie. Spiral, the new movie, Book of Saw. Enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's my second favorite Saw movie now. I thought this was really, really good. And I thought this year was really good for horror as well. There's a lot of good horror movies that came out this year. But I thought what they did with this movie was a lot better than what they were trying to do with some of the other ones they were coming out with the Saw franchise. The twist, I didn't see the twist coming. I know some people did, but I personally didn't. So they got me with that. I really enjoyed the copycat killer in this. I really liked the traps as well. I thought the traps were pretty cool as well. Some of them I was just like sitting there. I was like, oh my god, that would hurt so much. It just gave me Saw vibes. And that's all I asked for the Saw franchise. Make it like Saw. And that's what they did. So Spiral for me, I really enjoyed that. Supernova. I'm going to tell you right now. I enjoyed Supernova. This was really, really good. You've got a couple, the two men who are in love with each other. And one is suffering dementia. Absolutely incredible. Powerful. Watching what they were doing. How one would deal with the other losing their mind. Why? It's just so good. You got Colin Firth. Absolutely fantastic. Then you got Stanley Tucci. Fan-freaking-tastic. Performances. I loved Supernova. This is a really, really good film. I would recommend checking it out. It is incredible. Their dynamic, their chemistry, the performance, just everything about that was so, so good. And the ending is sad. Very, very sad. So, for me, it's in the great tier. Sword Art Online. Like this movie a lot. I thought it was a bit slow at the start, but when it picks right up, it gets really, really good. I really enjoyed this movie. This is a reboot. From what I've been told, it's like a soft reboot of the Sword Art Online anime, and I loved it. I was invested in this. The animation is great. The music's great. I like this anime. I'm excited to see a lot more of this anime, and I'm checking it out once I finish Attack on Titan. Sword Art Online, you're next, and I've really enjoyed this movie, so it's in the great tier. Synchronic. I'm putting good. I had no problems with this movie. It's a cool concept and very unique and different, and I appreciate what they were trying to do with this. While there are problems with this movie, I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy this movie, and I thought Anthony Mackie was quite good as well, and I liked it. So I'm gonna put it in the good tier. The Courier, great. What more can we say about Benedict Cumberbatch? The guy's world class. He was incredible in this movie. Now I can tell you this. This is really powerful. Like, what his character went through in real life, no man can do what this guy did. Like, it's incredible what they tried to do and what they did accomplish. I highly recommend checking it out. The performances are great. I was on the edge of my seat. I was invested in the story, the characters. Just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The Dry. I'm going to put in great as well. Loved this mystery with Eric Bana. Incredible. Loved it. The twist, the turns, trying to solve it. This is one of those mystery... If you like mystery thrillers, this is the movie for you. Because you're trying to put the pieces together to who did what. And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, did he? What's going on with this person? What's going on? Are these linked? Are that linked? And when it comes around full circle and you get every answer to all the questions you've been asking, you'll be gobsmacked at how good it was. The performances are great. Absolutely fantastic. The Dry. It goes into great tier for me. The Father. What more can I say? He deserved the Oscar. The great Sir Anthony Hopkins deserved an Oscar for this, and he got it. This is so good because it is not told from our perspective of watching someone crumble when they have dementia. We are watching it from the person with dementia's point of view and how their life is crumbling before their eyes, how their memory works, how they're remembering these people. They see this person as this person, but it's really not that person, it's this person. How they think their room, where they are, what's going on. Terrifies the crap out of me. If that's what dementia is like, I do not want to get it, because that was scary watching him just crumble and lose his mind. Sad, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant movie. I would highly recommend checking out The Father. Ice Road. Look, I'm putting average. It's another Liam Neeson film. It's basically just that, really. Except they're Ice Road truckies. It did have a lot more heart than I thought it would, especially with Liam Neeson and what's it called? The other guy that plays his brother. That had a lot of heart in it, and it was quite sad, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. The Last Duel. Watched it again last night. Love this movie. Ridley Scott nailed this movie. Incredible performances. I expect to see Oscar nominations for some of these people in this movie because they were freaking fantastic. Jodie should be nominated for an Oscar. Damn right, should almost freaking win it because she is that phenomenal in this movie. Adam Driver is fantastic. Matt Damon's fantastic. Ben Affleck's fantastic. Love this movie. Ridley Scott captured the medieval times. I love this movie so much. I don't think it's as good as The Martian though, which is my favourite Ridley Scott film. I love The Martian so much. But this may be my second favourite Ridley Scott movie. I love that movie so much. I just wish more people saw it. The Little Things. I'm putting good. I like the movie. I get what they were trying to do. I just felt like it was underwhelming. Watching the trailers, I'm thinking, okay, you got Denzel Washington, you got Rami Malek, and you got Jared Leto. All Oscar caliber actors. And it just felt underwhelming. It did feel underwhelming. I walked out, I was like, that was good, but it could have been so much better. And that's the tale that I have for The Little Things, is it's good, but it's not great. So that's why it's in the good tier. The Misfits, below average. It's a heist film that doesn't feel like a heist film. There's just, the characters are unlikable. There's just it's just one of those movies. Don't like it, so I'm just going to put it below average. The Suicide Squad, again, great. Love the Suicide Squad. James Gunn nailed this out of the park. Absolutely nailed it. He got me straight off the bat when they all land on the beach the first time. I was like, wait, what? Because they focus on one character in the trailer a lot, and I'm kind of like, okay. And then when he dies, I'm kind of like, wait. He was a real focal point in the trailer, and he's gone already. And I just love the dynamic, the music, that last moment with Starro where Ratcatcher 2 was it was emotional, and I loved the Suicide Squad. I loved this movie so much. It was one of those movies that was contending for the best. It was just so good. The Tomorrow War. I enjoyed this sci-fi movie. Chris Pratt was great. I love the dynamic and the relationship between him and his daughter in this. I like the alien designs. The father, J.K. Simmons, was great. Had a blast. Absolutely had a blast. The Unholy, I'm going to put it there. I have a lot of problems with this movie. It just fell flat. Could have been a lot better. The Conjuring 3, I'm putting average as well. I just don't think they captured the first two Conjuring movies. This one was decent, but I don't know. It was just missing that horror for me that horror elements. It was just missing it for me. The Nighthouse, one of my favorite horror movies I've seen in a long time. One of the best theater experiences I've had watching a horror movie. I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. Loved this movie. Loved it. I highly recommend people check out The Nighthouse. You will not be disappointed. Absolutely fantastic. Those Who Wish Me Dead. It was good. I enjoyed it. I like the connection between Angelina Jolie's character and Finn's character, but I do have some problems with this movie as well. Like, motive for the villains, they're not very interesting. There's a scene that happens that kind of you scratch your head at. Yeah, it's just one of those films, but it's good. It's good. I'd still recommend it to people, of course. Venom 2, good, fun, entertaining, gave me what I wanted. Venom, Carnage fighting each other. That's it. My only real criticism is it feels a bit like short. It's only an hour and a half. I feel like there's missing half an hour there, and I think Carnage could have had a bit more character and a bit more motive to why he was doing things. But overall, still had fun watching this movie, watching them fight. Voyages, average, cool concept, get what they were trying to do, but then it just fell apart when it kind of turned into like this. I don't know how to describe it. Like they just go off their medication and then they just start like creating gangs and stuff like that and start fighting each other. It's just, yeah, it's average for me. Resident Evil, I'm gonna put in good. It's generic. The story is generic, but it is fun, entertaining, and really, I only care about her, the main character, throughout the whole time of the film. The rest of them I don't really care for. I really like the practical effects. Look incredible. They look incredible. I'm still excited to see another Resident Evil movie. I like this one. I think this is probably the best Resident Evil movie out of like the other ones, the other live action ones. I would say it's probably my favorite one. Wild Mountain Time. Look, I'm gonna put this in good. This is why. This would be in great because I really like the performances from Emily Blunt and is it Jamie Dornan? I think it is. Really like the performances. Really like the setting, the cinematography. I really enjoyed it. I liked their relationship and how it was building and how one wanted to go, like they liked each other but they didn't know how to interact with each other and tell each other. Really enjoyed that. However, why it's not in the great tier is because of the ending and because of one line of what he says. And when they're having this serious conversation, it just didn't work for me. I just laughed and I was like, really? Did they really just say that? You take that out, replace it with something that actually makes sense. It goes in the great tier. Without Remorse. You know what? I'm actually put this one below average. And here's why. I was really hyped for this movie. Love Michael B. Jordan. Loved this premise. Looked incredible. Very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. This is probably my biggest disappointment of the year. Is Without Remorse. You had everything there. But this was just a pure setup for the next big movie. Big team up movie. That's what it was. And it fell flat. Wrath of Man. Great. Love it. Jason Statham. Unique and different take on Jason Statham. It's not him just being a complete badass who's just military. This was completely different. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I was wrapped up in the whole entire film, the story, characters. Loved it all. So for me, Wrath of Man goes in the great. Wrong Turn. Average. I didn't like this Wrong Turn. It didn't feel like Wrong Turn, but it just also didn't make sense at certain parts. And I thought some of the characters in that, there were some cool moments, but then there was like some stuff that I was kind of like, why? Why did they choose to do that? But yeah, I think they missed a lot with this movie for me. So yeah, it's just average. And Zack Snyder's Justice League, below average. No, I'm just joking. I really like this movie. Great. It's the Justice League movie I wanted. It's the Justice League movie I wanted. And I think Zack's nailed that out of it. So yeah. Love that movie. So there you go. That is my list of all the movies I checked out this year, all ranked into tiers list. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of my list, and where do you rank some of my movies and some of your movies? What are your favorites? What are your non-favorites? Let me know. Smash that like button, click subscribe. I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.